If you ever feel stuck, just know that I literally spent the last 9 years, almost the last 10 years of my life, scrambling to go back to it all. To go back to this romanticized version of the past that never was. After high school, I felt so fundamentally wrong. Like I'd made some huge mistake. Like I'd thrown my life away. Everything felt so catastrophic at the time that I just wanted to go back before it all went wrong. Little did I realize that there was already a lot wrong, but I was just too caught up in it to see it. There were things I'd already needed to change in myself before things went quote unquote wrong. And I'd agonized all these years, beat myself up all these years, had so many anxiety attacks and nightmares and just moments of heartbreak, trying to get to this unreachable destination because it was already long gone. I thought I would never, ever be of any equal value to my peers, that I was just made wrong, that I was stupid, that I was incompetent, that I was incapable of transitioning into adulthood. And so, in a way, that sort of became a self-fulfilling prophecy, in that things that I might have been able to learn earlier were delayed, and I didn't learn it until later. And then that became a whole other thing to agonize about, where I was beating myself up over not learning things by a certain time, by the time that my more ambitious, more bold peers would. And I'd moved far away from said peers that I could only look at their lives from afar, and things always looked so much prettier on the other side of this life that I'd chosen. And that became a huge source of pain for me, because I just thought I made this huge mistake that couldn't be taken back, that I would forever be cursed, marked by it. And that led to a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety over the future. So now I was pulled by the future. I yearned for the past, yet I fear, and I also feared for the future. So when at that point could I ever be in the present? I never was. And as the years ticked on by, they seemed to tick on by faster and faster, which only increased my panic, to the point where I thought, oh, I'll never make it. I'll never be anywhere I was ever supposed to be, because I'd already let that train pass me by. And so I'm just stuck here at the station while everyone is living and growing and connecting and being their best selves. I would go on Facebook, I would go on different social media platforms just to check in on the old people, the people from my old life. And things seemed to be going so great for them. And of course I was happy for them, but at the same time I almost felt abandoned by them. There was this anger that I projected, more than anything on myself, but also partly on them, because I felt like, oh, they're moving on. I mean, that's exactly what they're supposed to do. That's what everybody's supposed to do. But I didn't. And so year after year, I would beat myself up about how I didn't do this, how I didn't achieve that, how they're doing this, but I never did that. Or how I'm so meek, I'm so weak, I can't speak up for myself, I can't do simple things. My anxiety came to the point that I was terrified to speak to people over the phone. Simple things that would be considered simple to those who don't deal with anxiety. Like, I don't know, like placing an order for Domino's, I would have to literally rehearse what I would say, because my heart would pound, my mind would race, my mind would actually go blank, and I wouldn't know what to say. So I would have to read what I wrote out to even get through the conversation. That's how bad the anxiety would get. And when simple things aren't so simple, that's when you start to feel broken. And that's what I felt for such a long time was broken, because these things weren't easy for me. And no one else in my family seemed to have ever even dealt with this level of anxiety or anxiety at all. It seems like everybody was so functional, so high functioning, that I was just this alien. And if you've seen my older videos, you'll see that my avatar is an alien, and that's part of the reason why, because I've always felt like an alien. I've always felt different. I've always felt like I wasn't like the others, and I'm not like other girls way, like not in a self-confident way, but like a truly self-detrimental way, a self-destructive way, a way that offered no sort of love to myself. And now, almost 10 years later, I can see just how counterproductive that's all been, and just how many years I have wasted beating on myself and hating myself, to the point where, like, I made very little progress in some areas that I could have made progress in, but you can't agonize over those should haves, could haves, and would haves, because it's already done. And I'm so far removed now from that I can truly see that what I romanticized in the past is just, I don't know, just easier. It really wasn't. I can look back and see the shortcomings, the flaws in my life before it all went quote unquote wrong. And now I can finally be in a place where I can let all of that go. I'm here now. I didn't do the things I didn't do back then, but I can do the things that I want to do now. I can make the changes that I want to make now. I can be the person that I always wanted to be now. And the same goes for you. If you are anything like me, like where you've had this severe anxiety, or you were ill prepared for the adult world, like I was, you don't have to beat yourself up about it, because everybody is at different stages and everybody has their own individual struggles. And it took a long time. I struggled to accept that, because I was just so hyper focused on myself that I couldn't even consider that anybody else would be remotely as flawed as me. But it really is true. We know not anything that anybody else goes through unless they show it to us. We see the picture perfect life, the picture perfect images, the picture perfect quotes on social media, and that's not a true picture of their entire life. And that's not to say, oh, let's revel in other people's struggle because they're struggling like us, but just to know that we're all in this together. We're all human, we're all learning, and we all have our own individual psychologies that we have to overcome, our own individual struggles, internal struggles that we have to learn to grow beyond, so that we can truly be the person we want to be, the person that we see in that seeming far away image, that seemingly so obscure and just woo-woo out there image that we hold for other people. We can be that. We can be that in our own right. And as I look back on my 17-year-old self as a 27-year-old, I recognize that she didn't know what she didn't know. And she didn't know what to ask. She didn't know the questions that she needed to ask, because she didn't even know that they were questions to ask. Because what was normal to her, was normal to her. And that was her reality at the time. And all I can do is thank her, really, because if it wasn't for my past self not wanting to be that way forever, that if it wasn't for that version of myself, I wouldn't be here as this version of myself. And I know I have a lot of growing left to do. There's always going to be more growth to do. There's always going to be more work to do. But I can confidently say that I see the difference between her and I. And if it wasn't for her efforts, I would still be the same mentally. I would still be the same 17-year-old mentally. And strangely enough, that was another thing of mine, like another issue where I couldn't acknowledge the strides that I made. because I thought I was unchanging, that I couldn't change, that I was incapable of changing, and that I was just relegated to this role of neurotic and anxious, just ball of nerves who could never learn anything, stupid, who could never be loved in the way that I saw other people being loved, kind of just mess. And you have to be willing to see your progress as well as your shortcomings. Because if you don't have a marker for your growth, then you'll always be coming from the mentality that I'm still in this same exact spot. And you can't come up with any other maybe ways to facilitate further growth. Because if you think in your mind that you're in that same spot, if you think you're still that same 17-year-old, that same 14-year-old, that same 11-year-old, then of course your reality is going to reflect that, and you won't see the opportunities that are right in front of you to help you grow any further. And that's the scary part, because it really all starts in your mind. Because if you don't see it first, no one else can ever convince you. Everybody else can see it for you, but if you don't see it for you, then it's not going to happen, then it's not going to be so. And that is the thing that may be the hardest thing to work on, to integrate, but it's also the most necessary. You have to be willing to see yourself as a person capable of growing, even if your outer situation or that mean voice in your head is like, you'll never change. You have to believe in some, even a shard of belief in your heart can be a great catalyst down the road to enacting and fulfilling real change in your life. And it can be a really long road getting there. But as a famous saying suggests, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And it may have taken me almost 10 years to remove myself from that anxious, just that anxious identity, that fearful identity, that just completely self-deprecating identity. I still made it, even if it took as long. And I can see the things that I still have to change. I still see things that I can grow on, and that's normal. You're not supposed to be perfect, even if they shove this picture perfect image down your throat all the time in media. It's not true. It's not real. We all have our own hang-ups. We all have things we need to work on. We all have our own internal struggles, and it's okay to struggle. But to not do anything about it and to let yourself be bulldozed by life, that's not okay, because you deserve so much better than that. You deserve to love yourself. You deserve to appreciate yourself. You deserve to experience the best version of yourself. And the best version is always going to be something that we're going to be striving for, because we can always be better. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with people, especially people my age or people of any age who might be feeling stuck, who think that they plateaued at some point in the past and that they're incapable of growing beyond that, or that their own personal struggles are never going to let them be great. You can rise above that. And I'm living proof of that. And I'm still growing. I still have stuff that I'm working on that I struggle with. And you know what? That's fine. As long as I work on it, as long as I continue to not believe the easy lie, then I'm on the right track. And you will be too. I just wanted to share that because that's always been on my mind, just in terms of I'm a person that really likes to think on herself. And yeah, so I figured if this is of any value to anyone, then this video was worth sharing. But if you have any comments, just leave it below. If you like the video, and I will catch you next time.